Judy, if you just go ahead and I think we got roll call.
Yeah, let's do roll call anyway. You don't have to say where you're from, just say yes. Hannes Myers,
Present.
Pankaj
Part-time.
Raksha, Pankaj,
Yeah, present.
okay. Terry Nienhuis,
Yes.
Howard Bauman, Joe Bauman, Tom Bird,
Present.
Nathan Box,
Yes, I'm here.
Ken DeWeert,
Present.
Linda Howell,
Here.
Jim Gerard, Jim,
I am here.
John Kleinexel,
Present.
Kevin Kleinstra, Don Mayo,
Here.
Tom Unk,
Here.
Jim Story,
And unmute here.
Russ Tesla,
Present.
Elise Hookwater,
Present.
okay. Todd Walters, let's see, Tyler Kent of the MACC.
Yeah.
Mara Garrett,
Here.
Kelly Goward,
Here.
Judy Vischer, yes. Jim Kaminga,
Here.
and did I do Tyler Kent of MDOT?
No, but I'm here.
Okay. John Lanham. John,
Yes, I'm here. I had to turn
Okay.
my mute off.
okay. Matt Gwen,
Here.
and anyone I've missed that's present. Okay, I think that's it.
Thanks, Judy. Appreciate it. In front of you is a copy of the November 23rd, 2020 meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
I would move that we approve the minutes.
And that is
Terry?
Terry.
Second by Story.
Thank you.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, the motion carries. Thank you. Public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak with regard to today's agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion of today's meeting. Next on the agenda, environmental program. Kelly.
All right, and I am gonna share my screen here and run through some slides. Okay. So there's a few items on the agenda under the environmental program. So the first is our total maximum daily load voluntary agreement renewal. So I know some of you are new to this as far as being newer members to the board and may not be familiar with this agreement. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but just to give a little bit of background information, this is for the phosphorus total maximum daily load that is on Lake Macatawa that was established by the state Department of Environmental Quality at the time, approved by the EPA in 1999. And then the state had identified the MACC kind of early in this process as a local organization to work with on developing a phosphorus reduction plan for the lake. And so a way to formalize that was to have us sign this agreement. So it is a voluntary agreement, but we have been kind of abiding by this agreement since 2000. So the first agreement was signed in 2000 by each individual board member at that time. And it was a 10-year agreement. And essentially this agreement, I mean, you've got a copy of the new one in your packet, but it kind of outlines kind of the big picture activities that we undertake as far as implementation of phosphorus reduction activities. So having to do with monitoring and the watershed management plan, also the involvement of the point source dischargers in the watershed, and some other things. So it's the things that we're doing anyway. So that first agreement was good for 10 years, so it was renewed in 2010 by a resolution of the policy board and signed by the executive director, as opposed to each member signing that agreement. So that agreement in 2010 expired this past August, and staff had realized kind of proactively that deadline was coming. So we did start to have some conversations with Eagle staff in the summer of 2019 about renewing and doing an update to the agreement. And then of course, various things happen, staff changes, COVID, and then just some difficulties with communication because of COVID. And then some concerns were brought up by our point source dischargers. So kind of all of those things combined led us up to not having a new agreement ready before the expiration date. So, but we do have it ready now. We've been able to work through some of those issues. I don't want to go through the agreement in great detail, just kind of highlight some of the changes that we've incorporated. So you do have a copy of the full agreement in your packet. So items 1 and 2, we just kind of added more detail to it, putting in some of those numeric values that are contained within the TMDL itself. Item 5 refers to the watershed management plan. And since the agreement was signed in 2010, that plan's been updated. So we just updated that section accordingly. And then items 6 and 7 have to do with the involvement of the point source discharges, which at this point are both the Holland and Zealand wastewater treatment plants and then Meade Johnson. And it's really had been more concerns of the wastewater treatment plants about future growth in the community and increased volume of phosphorus potentially coming into their systems. They want to be good partners in this, and but they also don't want to be constrained to these numeric values that we put within our agreement, because the numeric values there in number 6 tie in directly to their NPDES permits for their point source discharges. So we added some flexibility in the language to allow for that future growth and an adjustment if necessary. I mean, they are certainly committed collectively to staying within the limits imposed by the TMDL, which is a combined discharge of 20,000 pounds of phosphorus per year, which they are well below that at this point. And then just a couple other things in item 12, we did update that to incorporate the MS4 monitoring. That is now a requirement of their new permits, which have not all been issued yet. And then in 13, that just has to do with changes or termination to the agreement. So added again more flexibility in there, especially related to if we need to make changes for our point source dischargers. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of that. So included in the packet is also a resolution to approve this agreement. I can read that out loud if anyone would like me to, but it is in the packet. It's posted on the website. I don't know if we are legally obligated to read it out loud, but I can if anybody would like me to.
Bird moves that we approve the motion as presented.
Hannes Myers supports.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Hannes. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, thank you. The next item is a grant application that we submitted in December through the Michigan Coastal Management Program. So just a quick overview of this, and there is some action needed on this item as well. So we submitted an application and included activities to support and update of the watershed management plan. We have been looking for various sources of funding to support these activities. So we were able to kind of pull out some activities that fit within this funding source. So some of the specific things that we included are urban and agricultural critical areas analysis. And since this is a coastal management program grant, we do want to incorporate some of those concerns with coastal flooding and hazards and climate vulnerability. We certainly are in a watershed that's subject to those sorts of impacts due to our proximity to the coast. We'll also incorporate some public input sessions with various groups of stakeholders, and then identify and prioritize restoration projects. And this is really at the site-specific scale, going through some mapping exercises, public input, but also field verification to determine where we want to put which kinds of practices, both agricultural and urban. We'll also identify any need for policy changes, and then with the ultimate goal of assembling an updated watershed management plan. So some partners on this grant, ODC Network will be a partner, both in helping us do the work and also a financial contributor. Certainly the Watershed Advisory Committee will be an important part of this as we do the public input sessions. And then we will need some agricultural technical assistance, so we wrote in some funding for that. And at this point, we are hoping to potentially work with the Allegan Conservation District to kind of subcontract out some work to them. So if we're successful, this grant would start in October and last for 15 months. So we did ask for just over $42,000. We did have to do a one-to-one match, and just to make the math work out well, we've got a little bit over on the match, with the majority of that being provided by ODC Network and the rest by the MACC. And this is all for staff time. And this particular grant does require a resolution of support from the applicant's board. So there, again, in your packet is a resolution that basically the gist of it is that you are approving the submission of the grant and then committing to providing the match, which we already did essentially commit to with a letter of commitment in the grant application. So are there any questions before we approve the resolution? And again, I will offer, if anyone would like me to read the resolution out loud, I am happy to do so.
Right. Is there a motion to approve the resolution and grant application?
Story moves adoption.
Who was that?
Story moves
Yep.
adoption.
Thank you.
Nathan Bach, support.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes.
All right, thank you. And then the last item under the environmental program is kind of an FYI and a heads up. I think many of you know we provide assistance to several entities to help them comply with their state stormwater permits, also known as the MS4, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System permits. So Ottawa County is our first entity that has received their permit. We first applied for these permits, gosh, I'm not even sure when we did it now, 2016. And so it's taken a few years of revisions to get to this point. So Ottawa County's has been approved. It is in effect currently. And so there are some components to this that will impact our members, specifically the township members. And that is with the post-construction runoff control program. So this is any development site are required to meet certain standards to control the stormwater runoff once the construction is completed. And so the permit requires that there is a mechanism to enforce maintenance of private stormwater systems. And so how Ottawa County proposed to meet this requirement within their permit application was through local stormwater ordinances. And so this is similar to what they proposed in 2008, which some of you may remember. At that time, townships, a lot of the urbanized townships were included within the program. Because of lawsuits, the 2008 permit was rescinded, but some townships in Ottawa County did adopt the model stormwater ordinance that had the post-construction runoff requirements. They are a little bit different now with the new permit, so we do need to have some updates made to the stormwater ordinances if they were passed. So we do have an updated model ordinance. The City of Holland has already passed theirs. They have their own stormwater permit separate from the county. So theirs has been in effect for about 2 years now. And then the City of Zeeland, again, has their own separate permit. And so last I had talked to the City of Zeeland, they were working on updating their stormwater ordinance. So then that really leaves our MACC area townships. So I will touch base with Joe Bush's office and see how involved he or his staff would like to be. But once I touch base with them, I will start contacting all of you or your staff to kind of make a plan for how we're going to get these stormwater ordinances passed. And I believe it's only Park Township has an ordinance currently that will need to be updated. I'm not aware that any of our other members have a stormwater ordinance currently adopted. So I'm sure there are lots of questions related to this. I'm happy to take any now, but know that I will be in touch soon to kind of get us going on this.
This is Terry. Just a comment on in reading this memo, the memo itself. In the second paragraph, it refers to developers. It says requires developers to development to comply. A lot of times, of course, developers sell to owners. Is there somehow we can include owners in that description? Because it does change hands once the development process is completed.
Right, and the way that it is written up, I think within the rules and then within the stormwater ordinance, that however that development is approved, it would be a maintenance agreement is recorded on the deed of the property. So as the property changes hands, that maintenance agreement would be handed down to the next owner of the property.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Yeah, and we certainly, I did mention in the memo too, we do have some training materials available that we've put together for engineers and developers that we can certainly share with your boards and planning commissions, you know, some PowerPoint presentations. We've got some recordings from meetings that were done. So I've got a lot of resources to kind of help bring everybody up to speed. And I have, I mean, for the most part, I have talked to your staffs individually if you have staff at your township. And, you know, again, we'll help you through this process.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for Kelly?
This is Ken Fillmore. Are you presently only dealing with Ottawa County, or are you dealing with the Allegan County townships also, Lake Town and Fillmore?
Right. So my plan currently is to just focus on the Ottawa County townships because Ottawa County is the only stormwater permit that's been issued. Allegan County's has not been issued yet, but once Allegan County's permit is issued, then yes, Lake Town and Fillmore will need to have those stormwater ordinances in place as well. I mean, we can certainly start working on it, but kind of the clock hasn't started ticking on us yet. Since the Ottawa County permit has been issued, it's, you know, the state wants to see those ordinances in place as soon as we can get them. I mean, they want to see them within 6 months. We'll see if we can make that deadline.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Anything else for Kelly?
No, thank you.
All right. Kelly, thanks for putting that report together. Greatly appreciate it. All right, moving on to transportation program. Review draft list of the federal federal obligated projects. Included is a memo in the agenda here. The MACC is required to send a list of federally obligated projects to Federal Highway at the end of each year. Now, we have to understand that these projects are not necessarily completed in 2020, but they are federally obligated with estimated costs, which are provided in the table. Tyler, John, Don, is there anything else we need to add with regard to that?
I was just gonna, can everybody hear me okay?
Okay.
I was just gonna say, this is a standard reporting procedure that the MACC does every year. It basically just outlines that of all the federal money you obligated, you've spent or plan or are planning to spend within your TIP. So that's really what that's demonstrating.
So there's no need, Tyler, to approve it. It's just to inform the policy board, correct?
Well, I think you guys have to approve that. I might defer to Don on that.
We do have to approve it,
I'll defer to Don on that,
or Don?
somebody else.
I don't believe it takes any action from the policy board, but it's a document that has to be posted on your website, made for
Okay,
so that the public can see it.
certainly.
And that's the requirement from FHWA.
Okay. Alrighty. So any questions with regard to the memo itself or the table that shows the 2020 projects within it? Alrighty. Moving on. The adoption of the 2021 safety performance measure targets. Included is a memo. It's provided that outlines the target, the calendar year target for 2021 with those safety targets. Tyler, do you want to discuss this a bit further for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the MACC committee's gone through this before, and we probably, as new faces evolve, just try to recap through this. But essentially, with the last reauthorization package from the federal level, we've had performance measures we've had to implement at the MPO and statewide level. And out of all of these, we have condition, there's some transit ones, and there's also what we have is safety measures. And again, these have to be data driven. They have to be, short term, not necessarily short term, but you look at the short term data trends, but you can apply it to a long term. So these safety metrics, I think it's every year you have to update the targets. It has to go to the committee level. And it's a decision of whether you want to support the general state targets or if you want to support area specific targets. And there's a penalty for the MPO that I'm aware of if they don't meet the targets. It's just essentially trying to identify, where your trend is and how are you going to try to address, issues where you're not meeting your trend. I think most MPOs in the state have opted to just follow the state targets because if they use their own targets, it's usually at the staff level where they have to obtain that information, monitor it, report it, and process all that information. And there's nothing wrong with the MPO staff doing it. It's just usually additional amount of work that's put on them. And probably the state targets are most reliable. And, I don't want to get into much of John's discussion on this, but that's essentially what those are, or this target is the safety measures are. It's just kind of approving those targets. But I'd like John Lanham, who we invited, he's our transportation performance management specialist out of MDOT. We've been going around to a few MPOs talking about this and just kind of what this is. And John, if you don't mind taking away from here, I greatly appreciate it.
No, that's fine, Tyler, and you're correct. There's no penalty for the MPOs in supporting the state targets. And as indicated, all the other MPOs of the state have supported the state targets. Some MPOs have tracked their safety metrics trends within their areas, but have not actually developed their own safety targets. So they've all chosen to support the state targets. So if any of you have any other questions, I can try to answer what I can. So,
Hey, John, maybe one question I have, if you have a second, is these are developed, I mean, these targets aren't basically pulled out of a hat. They're based out of data from like the last 5 years. They're based on kind of growth in the area and in the state in general, movements of people, general crash trends, things of that nature. So that's, and I think they're based on like a rolling 5-year average.
yeah, they're based on a 5-year rolling average of trends in the safety statistics for the state. We've had the help of a transportation institute from the University of Michigan to do some statistical analysis to determine factors that influence those. Let's see, what else? It's kind of ironic, though, in a way, we haven't, the actual statistics and the actual data have kind of moved and varied in the last recent years. For instance, last year, excuse me, in 2020, we will likely have more fatalities than we thought we would. So we won't meet the fatality target, certainly in 2020. Ironic, because obviously we have less VMT in 2020. Although on the other hand, the serious injuries are down. So I can answer any other questions if you have any. As Tyler indicated, a lot of people, some people are concerned that we set targets, but that are, let's say, comparable to what we've been experiencing. But and some people think that we should set more aspirational targets. And in other words, we have our fatality rates are in the order of 950 to 1,000 per year. Some people feel that, well, why don't you set a target of 500 per year and try to meet that, let's say, or set a target of 0 fatalities. But as Tyler indicated, the federal guidance indicates that we need to do targets that are realistic, that are quantifiable. So in order to do that, you have to consider what normally occurs in your area, in your particular state. So I think there is only one state in the whole nation that has actually set a fatality target of zero, and that was Florida. But every other state has done it differently. So, any other questions regarding those?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tom.
Point of clarification. The numbers that are shown are for state trunk line or federal aid roads, or do they also include local primaries and local roads?
They are for the entire system because the fatalities and serious injuries, those statistics encompass all of those for all the systems. So is that sufficient answer, Tom? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions,
John,
Tyler or John? I'm sorry, Tyler.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, these do get updated annually, right? Or is it or every other year?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, they're actually updated on a weekly basis. At least the fatalities and serious injuries, anyway. So that's kind of why the actual numbers for 2020, they won't be actually made official until the spring, sometime in the spring, March, April. But they are tabulated as they occur on a weekly basis. And that's kind of how we know that the fatality rates, anyway, the fatality statistics for 2020 are running about 60 to 70 greater than 2019, the 2019 actual numbers. But the serious injuries are running at a rate of about 200 less than occurred in 2019. So we're, for 2020, we're likely not going to achieve the fatality rate target. And actually, we probably won't attain or accomplish the serious injury rate target as well either, because the VMT is going to be a lot lower.
Thank you, gentlemen. Greatly appreciate it. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2101?
This is Terry. I'll make that motion.
Terry.
Hunter supports it.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All righty. Thank you for that support. Next on the agenda, job number 101615, technical correction for discussion.
Yes. Again, that's me again. The common name for that is the Saugatuck Rest Area. This one, it did not require any type of tip action, but we just wanted to make the group aware of this. This rest area project was initially programmed back in 2019, I believe, and if you recall, that's a different SIP cycle. And now that we're in a new SIP, that project gets carried over into some of the larger work on I-196. And it just kind of required technical correction there because it didn't show the linkage between the bigger project that was relatively new and the initial program project in 2019. And the fact that it's a different tip cycle or SIP cycle caused kind of some issues that we didn't think about or weren't aware of at the time. So I just want to make everyone aware that that rest area reconstruction project and landscaping is part of the bigger I-196 work, and it is updated in the MACC tip. So, if anybody's got any questions on that, we're here to talk about that and provide you with any information that you need. But we just wanted to make you aware of that change that happened like last year, I guess.
Any questions for Tyler on that project? What's the timeline on that, Tyler? I'm sorry if I didn't hear that.
I believe that's 2021. The actual work on the rest area, it's going to serve, if westbound 196 is closed, it's going to serve as kind of a staging area for construction equipment, and it's kind of contingent upon the timeline of the bigger road work on I-196. But sometime this summer is the plan.
Okay. Thank you. All righty, next on the agenda is it's a contract with GVSU to update the land use land cover data. Again, this is a memo found in the agenda. The MACC is currently using land use data from 2009. A lot of development, redevelopment has happened within the MACC area since that time. And we need to be able to make sure that we've got up-to-date land use data for our GIS when we are modeling for updates to the transportation plan, long-range plan, as well as non-motorized plan. GVSU, AWRI, they put the last plan together for us in 2009. We have contacted them, reached out to them, asking for an estimate to update that land use data. They're expecting that it would take roughly 9 months with an estimated cost of $16,119. We reached out to MDOT to make sure that it is eligible. In fact, it is. So we'd like to move forward with a contract with GVSU for that update. So I need if there are any questions, I'd like to be be able to answer those for you. If none, would someone like to make a motion for staff to work on entering into a contract with GVSU?
Moved by Box.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
support by Howell. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Representatives of MDOT, Federal Highway, any comments? Any updates?
The other Tyler, one more time here is, I think I mentioned this last time, but we are still telecommuting MDOT staff through March, I believe. I don't know if that's going to get extended again or not. So if anybody needs to get a hold of us, email is probably the best, or some of us have cell phones, you can contact us. Do that. But just everybody's aware. So, thank you.
Don?
We did find out that we got the obligation limitation for the rest of the year was approved. The final number on that has not been released, but it should be in line with about 93% of our allocations as usual. And the we have some additional funding also was approved for one of the COVID packages. It's coming to transportation. The actual breakouts of that have not been released yet, so more to come on that. But should be, it looks like preliminary, as a preliminary look, it looks like be in line with the HIP funding from previous years. So Eric Mullen is now our section manager, is now the division administrator for the policy division. So we have a vacancy for our section manager. So Anita and I will be covering everything that Eric was. He's still around, so obviously we can reach out to him for help, but they hope to have that posted by the end of the week. So hopefully we'll have a new section manager by the end of the month. And I think that's about it.
Don, Tyler, thank you. John, do you have anything to add? You're on mute. Okay.
John, you're on mute.
Okay, I'm back, I guess. But if Lisa, if you're still on the line, you probably know that the Public Transit Agency safety plans were originally due to be completed December the 31st, 2020, but that was extended. The FDA extended that until July 21, 21. So you have another 6 months or so to complete those. And for the members of the MACC, your policy committee is to, at check-in policy, or to receive those and to acknowledge the receipt of those and approve those. So if you were thinking you would receive those by December the 31st, they don't necessarily, or not necessarily due. They weren't necessarily due then. So I don't know if Elise can comment on that or not, but.
Sure. Hi, John.
Hi.
Hi. In fact, we have a presentation that we will be presenting to the policy board. We did complete the plan in May of 2020,
yeah.
so ahead of schedule.
Yeah, way ahead of the game.
Yeah. So Matt Gwynn, our project manager, is going to be giving a presentation in just a few minutes.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, thank you, MDOT.
That's all I have. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right,
Thank
next on the agenda is, in fact, that presentation by Max Transit for the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. So, Alyssa, Matt, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to give you a little background and a perfect segue, John Lanham, to the PTASP is what we call it. the Public Transportation Safety Plan, which is a new requirement that FTA has introduced to all transit agencies. Small transit agencies have the option to seek assistance from MDOT, and MACC decided to go ahead. We have been collecting data, so we did decide to go ahead and look at our collision data and come up with our own targets. So in just a few moments, Matt Gwynn, our project manager, is going to give you an overview on how that was done. But I guess the highlights that I wanted to share with you, I guess just beginning, this is the first time this has been developed, and it's clearly a requirement of FTA, but it is also a very useful exercise that is assisting MACC to be able to coordinate with our transit asset management. So when we have capital expenditures, we want to make sure that those are contributing to safety quite clearly. So we are asking the policy board today to acknowledge and receive the PTASP, the Agency Safety Plan. And then this is something that we will be revisiting annually. So we'll give you the opportunity to see, our scorecard and see how MACC is doing. Thankfully, we've had very few incidents, but that is something that we do work very hard with our safety and training to make sure that we are doing all that we can to keep our passengers and staff safe. So with that, I wanted to go ahead and introduce to you Matt Gwynn, who is our safety and training coordinator, and Matt served as the project manager for this project. So Matt is going to go ahead and explain what the targets are, and then we can answer questions at the end. So I'll be passing it on to Matt.
All right, thank you, Elisa. Thank you guys for being here today to kind of see what we've got going on. The PTAS basics are just that. They are basic. We were asked by the FTA to come up with a specific plan that would allow us to basically look at what our safety management system is like, and to make sure that we're staying true to what we're trying to do, all about safety. And those standards are set up by utilizing their plans, specifically the 49 USC 5329, to reflect specific safety objectives, standards, and priorities by incorporating our safety management system plans, principles, and methods that are tailored to our individual needs. Each transit system is different. The FTA acknowledges that. And so they allow us to come up with our own plan within their guidelines. And so we were able to do that fairly easy. We had a lot to learn. We had a lot to look through. But like Elisa had said, we were able to accomplish this back in May. I had a lot of conversations over the phone with the FTA as we went through this program and really fine-tune it to where we took it and we presented it to our board and were able to get them to approve it and look at the numbers and that type of thing. But when you look at how it correlates with safety and training, the plan is a standardized measure. We want to make sure that each transit authority can focus on their each individual safety and training plans, and even how each transit authority can focus on their efforts with training new drivers and even retraining and sharpening the existing drivers, because we all get comfortable. We all think we're invincible at times, and then something happens. But that's what we want to try and avoid. So it's kind of, you're always scratching the old drivers and retraining and making sure that they're staying focused and making sure that they're doing what we would like them to do, staying focused and staying with safety in mind. But each transit authority will be able to accomplish this idea of training by requiring each transit authority to look at their own safety records, through the eyes and lenses of that PTAS, enabling us to see where our weaknesses are and where our strengths are, but more so where we're taking risks that we probably shouldn't be doing. So that was a little eye-opener for us. Although our risks in management have stayed low, it was just something that we needed to start thinking more keenly on. And so we put together our safety performance targets, which you can see for fatalities. FR is our fixed routes, DR is our demand response. And for both those, we decided to shoot for a 0. Those are what we want to avoid. And of course, all of these are rated at 100,000 miles. Injuries, we don't want to do any more than 3 a year on fixed routes, 5 for demand response, but then those average out to a small amount. Safety amounts, another 3 and as low as a 2. And then system reliability is how well our vehicles are working. How often are they on the road, or how often are they in the service area? So we've been able to stay pretty low. Even looking at the fiscal year for this year already, we're well below target. We don't have any concerns. Even finishing out 2020, we were within that target range. We didn't have any major events last year. We've had one major event this year, but we've been working around that and doing some retraining and things like that to help eliminate in the future. So our performance targets we have listed as frequent, probable, occasional, remote, and improbable. Frequent, we do have several events, that we look at each year where we have trip and falls on the bus. Those types of things we know are out of our control. Something that is done by a passenger that we can't control. The probable, those are where we start looking at the higher end events, accidents where we get rear-ended or something that is driver related. We still want to limit those as best as we can. And many of those we can limit through training of drivers and being aware of what their surroundings are to try and avoid anything that may not be caused by themselves. But our end result, safety focused environment. If we can keep our drivers focused on being safe no matter what situation they're in, we can help eliminate a lot. And we can do that by a standardized training. We can also do that by standardized, knowing what they're going to be looking at when we're audited. And then also just create a safety focused environment within our passenger base as well. Having regular conversations with our passengers to help them understand with drivers, hey, give us a minute if we have to put the ramp out, allow us to do that, or allow us to come to a complete stop while we're pulling to a stop they're eager to get off of. So there's a lot of things that we can do to eliminate some of those safety risks, not only with passengers, but as well as drivers. And so far, all the conversations I've had with the FTA directly about our safety plan, they're really pleased about it. They'll come in with an official audit at our next triennial, but we've had them look at it now for 2 individual audits, and they've been quite impressed with this.
Has the coronavirus affected these plans?
Yeah, it's gone. It was supposed to have been finished and approved by July of 2020. They pushed it out. They've pushed it out, I believe, 2 or 3 times. John, can you correct me on that? But yeah, it's been pushed out several times. as far as, what the FTA is looking at. But as far as the implementation of it on the transit side of things, it's not going to affect us at all. This particular plan, we should be looking to strive to meet our goals every day, every week, every month as we move throughout the year, and once these plans have been developed by each transit agency. So yes, there's been some effect, due to COVID, but more on the FTA side of things, not the individual unit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Matt, but you're right. It was delayed. Originally, the original date was, I think, July 21st of 20, but because of COVID, the FTA delayed that until December the 31st, 2020, and now they're allowing the additional approximately 6 months, July 21st of this year. So.
Yeah, and I'm aware of at least 2 or 3 other agencies that are still working to get it completed. I do get periodic emails from those agencies just asking, how did you complete it? Where'd you get the data from? That type of thing. So I have been working to assist other agencies as best as I can with assisting them to get it completed.
Yeah. One question I have, Matt, I don't know,
Sure.
are you finished or can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, you'll keep track of what's considered baseline data. You have the targets for the fixed route and the demand, but you also will keep track of the baseline data to whatever events that did occur in 2020, let's say.
Yeah, so we put together through this and another audit that we're getting ready to go through. I have gone through the last 4 years of data for accidents and have put all that on a spreadsheet. Yeah. So I can consistently look back, at least right now, to 2018 and look at what accidents we've had. And I'm going to start looking to do that for the incidents as well, but those are a lot larger files. So we're in the process of getting that to more accessible data. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments for either Elisa or Matt?
I just have one comment, Tyler. Russ Desla. So I'm chairperson on the MACC, and I appreciate the efforts that Matt has been putting into this. And yeah, our board did approve it back in May or June of last year. So we're excited really to see, trends, and if you say able to pull back data, because it's all tracked by 100,000 miles. So we would be able to get some feedback then according to other transits and be able to set some good goals and to see how we're tracking compared to other systems as well. So thanks again, Matt.
Thanks for the comment, Russ. Appreciate it. All righty. Is there a motion to approve the plan as presented?
Honest moves to approve the plan as submitted.
Honest, yep.
Support.
Who is support?
Russ.
Russ.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Or opposed, same sign. All righty. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Alyssa. Greatly appreciate it. Keep up the good work. All righty, next on the agenda, item number 6 here, administrative issues. Included in your packet of information is the financial report for December. And I've also included a copy of the minutes from the executive committee from last month. A couple of highlights. The MACC, we went through our audit in November. The plan is to have the auditors present to the MACC Policy Board at next month's meeting, so you get an update on that. And then under service and delivery, community enhancement program, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that that program is still alive and thriving. We're always looking for new projects. So if you know of an organization or a committee that's looking to do a community project, the MACC might be able to assist in those projects. So please keep that in mind. COVID kind of put some of those projects in a tailspin or on a pause. So we have some money available, and we would like to be able to see some community projects done this coming year. So if you need any additional information on that, I'd be happy to provide you with a copy of that application. And then the emergency service work group is continuing to meet every couple of months. We are seeing some progress in that project itself. I hope to be able to report to you shortly on their upcoming plans for that group in general and what the MACC's role in that will be. So that's all good information I'd like to share with you today. Do any of our board members? Oh, I'm sorry. Mayor Box, we'd like to get a report from you today if we could. Oh, you're on mute.
I sound better when I'm on mute. Thanks for that, and thanks for the opportunity to share what's going on here in Holland, Michigan. As Judy mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, this has been an unusual year as my first year as mayor, but frankly, it's the only way that I know how to do things. So for me, it's been a normal first year. And despite the additional difficulties or challenges that there have been over the year, we've done quite a bit here in the city of Holland and have a lot of things that are in the pipeline for us as well. Just a couple of highlights of things that have happened recently and over the course of the past year. Despite COVID, we continue to see incredible growth in the city of Holland and incredible development. One example, we recently, it's at the city council level, approved 2 tax abatements for a combined 500,000 square feet. Yes, you heard me correctly. That's 500,000 square feet of new construction between Hudsonville Ice Cream and Perigo, which accounted for about $63 million in new investment within the city. Downtown Holland is also seeing some expansions. An example there, New Holland Brewery is on 8th Street is expecting to be doing an expansion this year as well. In regard to housing, we continue to work on our Unified Development Ordinance. And that has been about a 2.5-year process. We're hoping to get that wrapped up at some point this spring. We're involved in the public input process, and if any of you have ever dealt with rezoning large swaths of your area, you know that you're going to get an awful lot of public comment, and we're working our way through that now and trying to assure the public that the world is not going to end and things are actually going to be not as dramatic as they, I think, expect that they're going to be. We continue to move forward on our Waterfront Holland project. We've just approved our consultants out of the Chicago area to help us start developing an RFP process to have developers take a look at the available properties and other waterfront properties and come back to the city with potential proposals for development along our waterfront area. And any one of those projects is likely to require a public referendum that will have to be passed by a 60% plus vote of the public. There's a city ordinance that requires that we do that public referendum anytime we are purchasing or selling waterfront property within the city. And since just about any proposal, and probably any proposal that would come before us, would require something like that, we're going to have that public referendum. One of the highlights over the course of the last year is we did pass a broad-based non-discrimination ordinance in the city last August. And despite COVID and despite the challenges of meeting and engaging with the public, we were able to do that, finishing off with a public meeting that ended between 1:30 and 2 o'clock in the morning with a final vote. And again, happy as the first year mayor to have what anybody can remember as the absolute longest city council meeting in the city of Holland. We are also moving ahead with the reevaluation of our 40-year community energy plan. We've got a team called our Strategic Development Team, a group of very smart, very engaged individuals that are working right now to develop recommendations for City Council to take a look at later this spring as well. One of the big goals that we had as a council over the last year was public outreach and public engagement. And as soon as we made that one of our goals, COVID hit, which made public engagement increasingly difficult. But we, until about November, continued to hold our city council meetings in person. We were lucky enough to be able to have a city council chamber that allowed for that, so we could, as a council meet, in addition to council and staff that were present at the meeting, we could have up to 24 members of the public participating in council chambers in person. With some of those larger meetings, we actually had lines going out and around City Hall and into the parking lot as well. We've got a great tech team that actually provided live streaming of the meetings, as well as speakers out in the parking lot, and luckily those bigger meetings were on nice days during the warm months of the year. But as we move forward, we want to try to continue that. We're just starting our annual retreat and goal and policy setting process for the year. We typically do what's called Coffee with Council in December. We were not able to do that in person this year, so we added to our already growing list of specialized email addresses for the folks in the public to be able to get hold of us. We set up public comment at cityofholland.com, which gets comments directly to City Council. We also have planning comment at cityofholland.com, which allows people to comment directly on our UDO, Unified Development Ordinance process. And then we also added Coffee with Council at cityofholland.com to allow people to get their ideas for policies moving forward directly in front of City Council. We're going to be engaging in our advance in the next couple of weeks. We're adapting that and anticipating that we're still going to have to be online and virtual with that. So we're adapting those processes as well. But we are very hopeful that over the next few months, things are going to start returning a little bit more to what you guys think is normal and into a brave new world for this just beginning second year mayor of the City of Holland. So it's been a great year. We're looking forward to a very bright future ahead.
Mayor, thanks for that report, and congratulations on all those compliments. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share today?
Kevin might be on by phone. Kevin Kleinstra for Zealand for sharing. Is he still here? No?
Yeah, Kevin, if you are, your phone is muted.
I don't think that is he on? Okay.
Not responding.
All righty. Can I get the next meeting will be, the board meeting will be February 22nd of 2021. Is there a motion to close out today's meeting?
Can I, forgive me for not paying attention here totally, but was there a vote taken on the GVS issue, that award for them, the 16,000? Was there a vote taken on that?
Yes.
Okay. I get it. I guess I wasn't paying attention. Thank you.
Is there a question on that, Terry, though?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Thank you for asking, though, to make sure we do them all. There was a lot.
Yeah, the only question that did come to mind was that a surprise expense for you, and did it affect the budget at all, or?
Well, we were able to use some of the data collection dollars from MDOT for that, for future studies. I mean, it's I think been in the works. It's something that probably needs to be done at least every 10 years or so.
Yep. Yeah. No question. We need to do it. I just didn't know if it, it's a big enough amount that I didn't know if it.
Right. Yeah. I think it's something that we need to make sure that we budget accordingly every 10 years or so as part of our master plan or our long range plan updates.
Yeah. Just maybe accrue it.
Good question, though. Thank you. All righty. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Paul.
And
Second.
Nathan Bach support, yep.
Thank you, Mayor. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All righty. Thank you, everyone. Take care. See you next
care.
month.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Be safe.